Welcome back, everybody. So, here we are with issue number 3. Get that in the view. Issue number 3. And as you can see, we have lots of parts, and these parts are going to be, get this out of the road here, so you can see all this. These parts are going to be in the cockpit. So let's just kind of have a quick stroll through the magazine here. So this one we're actually talking about the T-65 X-Wing, and I'm not sure why they did that, but they talk about all things Star Wars in here, so that's always cool. Talk about Bespin. So if you ever want to learn about Bespin, it's pretty interesting. Some of the information here, I read about it before years ago, and it's kind of interesting because all of this that you see is pretty much all the clouds, so there's very little land mass, so that's kind of interesting. And here we go. We talk about some of the stuff that happened in Empire Strikes Back on Bespin, and then we're getting into the rear cockpit controls. So here you can see a black and white of the cockpit from the movie, and you can barely make it out in this picture, but you can see that the backs are kind of brownish color. And this one you can't really see it very well. Because this one's turned and this one's not, but Han's head's in the road. So interesting thing, and I'll get into this as we go, but where these seats came from. So we get a real nice look at the color of the seat here, and so that's going to be important to note what that color is. So let's go ahead and look at what we got. Okay, so we have part of our hull plating, and this hull plating goes on, and not that it actually will go on just yet, but its location coincides with this one here. So if we take this one back out, and this one went like this, like this, I believe, if I recall, that's the way this one went, right? So if this goes like this piece here actually goes like that. So that fits in there. So we're going to need a lot more hull plating to make that happen, but that's where it goes. It doesn't fit very well though. But yep, that's the location for it. I wonder if it's been kind of warped or something. But yeah, so these two pieces kind of go together. Slide it like that. Oh, there we go. So it goes like that. And so you can see after they go together, the seams close up rather nicely and everything. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's going to go together like that. And yeah, but they just give you the part right now. You don't do anything with it, which is fine. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to take our cockpit. We can leave this in there. And like I said, I'll glue this in at a later time period. This comes out, and that's going to give us the back panel. And this is all attached here. And this is the door for the back. And we have this sticker that we need to put on. So has us take the bulkhead from this from off of the bottom part, and then we're going to take this sticker and we're going to carefully lay the sticker in the door recess and then smooth it into place. So let's get this backing off the sticker here. Let me see here. Not the easiest thing to do, let me tell you. I felt like something was trying to give. Sometimes you just have to find the right corner. Anybody that's had to mess with stickers before, especially all of you that have kids, And they get a toy and it's got those stickers you got to put on. And I don't know, I always end up getting the job of putting the stickers on for some reason. And then we're just gonna kind of lay it up in there, and luckily it's only gonna fit in there kind of one way, basically like that. And once we get it in there, we're just gonna use the back of our X-Acto knife, and we're just going to put it in a place there. So you can see we're just kind of smushing it down, making sure we have a good solid fit everywhere, and that should be nice and solid. Now that we have that, this is actually going to go into the door frame, and this is going to slide in, and this is going to go back all the way until this sits flush. So it's going to go clear back. Now, I thought about actually gluing this in here, but I don't see the point. There's no reason to, because this is just going to go right back on here and snap back into place. Now, what I may end up doing is actually gluing this in place. Again, no hurry, but that's what I'll probably end up doing. But there you go. So now you have part of the cockpit, and just make sure it's all in place there, and it's in there pretty good. I never realized how the videos that I had seen, I thought this kind of stuck out a little bit, but it doesn't. It's pretty smooth up against there, so that's kind of nice. Now it's got us putting these seats on. So I talked about the seats a little bit, and let's discuss that. So get all this stuff out of the road here. Don't need sticker backing. So let's go back to this photo that showed the, here we go. Let's look at this photo here. So the seats are pretty close as far as the representation, which is fine, but the color is pathetic. So I don't like the color. So I have this color here, right? So it's gonna look something like that. And like I said, the image is dark, so I think the seats would be a bit brighter. And so we're gonna go with desert yellow, and we're gonna paint these desert yellow, and then we'll kind of touch them up maybe with some other colors. I've got a if my eyes were better, I could probably read this. Is this like a camo green drab? I'm not sure why I got a green. I've got this lighter, what's this one? Lighter beige. I'd asked my wife for some brown. What's this one? Wood color. So okay, so I got this wood color here. So I have that. And I have this one. Here's the ones my wife's got me. So I've got just a leather color, right? And I have this lighter brown. Now this lighter brown could possibly work for the seats as well. These look pretty close to each other. I'd have to open them up. So far, I'm having a lot of luck with this model Masters paint. This is a tester's paint. Having a lot of luck with it. Plus, I feel comfortable with thinning it for the airbrush using isopropyl alcohol, or even some of this solvent. I think I can thin with that too. I'm not too sure about the Tamiya. I think it's pronounced Tamiya. I've always pronounced it Tamiya. I think some people might call it Tamiya or something like that, but Tamiya. I like the Tamiya paint, but I don't want to have to get thinner for it just yet, until I absolutely need to. But so I think I might use these two. So I'm going to use this as the base color, and then I'm going to try some dry brushing or maybe some other stuff to kind of weather these seats, to kind of darken them up in spots. That'll help bring out all these seams and stuff. I could also maybe do a black or something like that to really bring out the seats, and then use this as a dry brush to kind of add some darker spots, like wear spots or something like that in the seat here, and maybe on the back part, something like that. But another thing is with these seats here, the movie, these parts are kind of brownish, so I think I'm going to go with this and try to brown these up quite a bit. Coincidentally, these seats are, and also you can see it here, so there's this little piece right here that is supposed to be a metal disc or something like that. That's actually going to be, I'm going to paint that silver, and then I'll kind of dry brush and some silver on these ribs to kind of make those stand out a little bit, because that's metal, and then the white parts would be cushion. But these seats were actually out of some sort of fighter jet. I can't remember what it was, but they got these, so like, some seat out of one of the original fighter jets that got retired, early on, and they had these seats, and so they got these, and you can see the rails on the back here. Maybe if I didn't have such a glare on this picture, but let me go here, so you can see that rail there. This rail here, that's actually the rail that it would run up to. It would run up when they go to eject it. So that's pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and see where we're at here. Okay, so now we need to take our two metal control yokes. All right, we'll use the knife to get these taken care of. There we go. Throw that away. And we are actually going to put them into, you can see the holes there. So there's going to be holes there, and then there's little bitty holes here on the sides, I think. Yeah, so there's little holes here that those will plug into. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So what I'm going to do is, I've got this little container, and I think it's meant for mixing paints or something, I don't know, but I'm going to use it as a little container because I need to be able to control how my glue is going on, and I'm just using normal Gorilla super glue, right? So I'm just going to put, I'm not going to need a lot, so I'm just going to put like 2 drops out there, okay, because I don't need very much. And I've got this micro brush, so you can see how small this brush is. I've got this micro brush, and that's going to allow me to be able to put these in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit on the end of the brush, a little bit on the end of this, and that should be enough, I would think. And we're just going to put this in the hole. If we go in there, I like that, doesn't go in there. There we go. So that's in there. Okay, so there's one. So that's in there. And if we wanted to, just to make sure, a little touch here, a little touch there, and that will help kind of hold it in place. There's that. So we're going to probably have to use these tweezers. Actually, I'm going to use my forceps for this one. So we got our forceps here. And so I think they go in a downward type of angle. But let's get some glue. And we'll glue up the end of that. And let's see if we can actually get that put in. Actually, might take that off. That'll help me get my big fat whatever's in there. The problem is I can't really tell. There we go. I did find the hole. This thing spun around so we can actually put it into the hole there. Spin it back around there. That's where we want it. All right. So there we go. We have our control yokes on. And we can kind of stick this back on just to make sure that it goes on with the control yokes in place. So spin those back to where they need to be. That one's already set up. Another thing, like I said, one of the things I'll be doing is I'll be touching up a lot of these details and stuff. I should probably do that sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I'm not going to have much of an opportunity. All right, now I'll go get the seats prepped and all that kind of stuff, and we will go from there. I'll catch you when I'm back from doing the painting aspect. So here we are, and we've got leather and wood. All right. So wood, I think we'll skip on that for right now. But we're going to do some leather, I think. It's probably the darkest brown color that I have. Just for quality's sake, I'm going to stir this. I just got these, I don't know, these little dowels in the crafting area at Walmart. I wanted something I could stir with. And you can buy these little battery-powered mini paint stirrers. I think they're only like 10 bucks or something. I don't know. I've kind of figured that I don't quite do enough modeling to justify that, but I do want to make sure that these are stirred. This one is. The interesting thing, the reason why I wanted to stir it was the silver that I used on the Dajerik table. The silver was very thick at the bottom, like all the sediment. Of course, that's metallic, so it kind of makes sense that would be the case. $3.99 at Hobby Lobby for those that are interested. Okay, so I've never dry brushed before. I know the principles behind it, and so we're going to try it out. So dry brushing, it's a way of weathering things to make it look like it's older. So you're going to put some paint on, and you're going to just wipe off pretty much all the paint. So you're going to get most of the paint off, and then we're just going to come in here, and see, that's too much paint still. And we're just going to come in here and touch up this paint. See, that's still too much. I think maybe we can lighten it. See, that's a lot of paint. See, you should just be able to get very little paint off the brush. There we go. Helps if I have it in view. So you should still be able to get just a little bit of paint off the brush, kind of like this. And usually you're going to be doing it on something with texture or something. So you're doing it for highlights and all that kind of stuff. In this case, I don't mind that it's a little bit dark because I know that these cushions aren't white. They need to be darkened up anyway. So we're just going to do it this way. Okay, so here we got that. Now with the white, I think that one looked pretty white. The top head part, right? So let's just see what happens when we do the cushion here. So the cushion darkened it up quite a bit. Come back here on the headrest with a little bit more paint. And yeah, as I was saying before, these are, modeled after seats from some jet. For some reason, I was thinking they were like a French jet or something. It wasn't an American jet, if I remember right. I don't quite recall. It might have been an American jet. I'll have to look it up. I'll give you guys the answer in a future video. Okay, so see if we can kind of, okay, so that's fairly brown, but then you compare it with this one. The question is, does it look older and more worn out? Because these were supposed to be like leather seats or something like that, that were old and worn out. So does it look better that way? I kind of think it does. It doesn't look like that for sure, right? So yeah, and we don't want them to look, we don't want it to be a perfect paint job either. So that's why we're doing the dry brushing, because we want it to almost look like it's a natural thing that happened. Just this got these colors this way. So I wish I had a really dark brown. Then I could really come back with some highlights. But the idea is you want this effect to be very subtle. You can see I'm wiping off a lot of paint, but you want this effect to be very subtle as you're doing it, because you know otherwise you're just flat out painting it, and we don't want that. We want something a little different. Well, you guys can see it. You can see that one pretty well. Get some paint off of here. We'll just go in different patterns, I guess. Got a shadow here, and I can't tell very well on the bottom cushion there. This may not actually be the right brush for this dry brushing effect. I don't know. I don't know what the best brush is. And maybe it depends on what you're dry brushing and what kind of effect you're going for. So this one kind of gives us what we're ultimately getting here is we're getting some very light areas and some darker areas. We can even kind of add to that by kind of adding some more dry brushing in certain areas and kind of really adding to that effect. Oops, I don't want to drop it. I will hold it like that. there you go. So it's kind of funny. While I'm dry brushing, I get very quiet, very much like when I was building in Fallout 4. It would get very quiet. I was concentrating. So what do you think with that? So there's those, and yeah, nice little effect. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and clean this brush, and then I'm going to dry brush the silver on here as well, and we'll see how that goes. I might use the micro brush for this center disc here, and yeah, so let's see how that goes. Majority of the silver is going to be it's just pigment anyway. I mean, it's all pigment, but it's the metallic part. So let's get us a micro brush, and so these paper towels, I can tell you, I don't like them for my kitchen. Get a different one, but I do like them for modeling. I don't know if they're a local brand or what they are. You guys can tell me. So the brand's called Viva, and they're kind of stretchy, and when they're on the roll, they're very kind of Velcro-y to itself. So it's kind of a pain to get off of the um, kind of a pain to get off of the off the roll, but this is not the same silver. I don't like this silver. This is almost like a blue silver. I don't like this silver at all. I don't like that silver at all. Let's adjust fire with that. I know when I painted the Dajerik table with this, it painted really well, but it was extremely thick. I did stir it for quite a while because of the fact that it was so thick. Maybe that's better. That could be better, I think. Yeah, we'll see. I'll try dry brushing with a micro brush. There's an interesting concept. Now, I don't want to go too heavy-handed on this. And it wouldn't surprise me if only the outside part of this little disc was supposed to be silver. But you know what? It's so stinking small that there is no way I'm only going to be able to get the outside of it. Alright, so there's that. And I might do just a touch of, I might do that with the dry brush. So let's break out the old dry brush, and so one of the things I think I'll do is I'm going to dry brush the handles a little bit. I'll give a little bit of silver on the edges, maybe, like the paint's been worn off and that kind of stuff. So we'll get that. That's the problem with these metallics is it's pretty heavy still. It's not really a paint per se. It's more of just a clear metallic underneath. So you almost have to put it on heavy. We'll touch up along to there. Let's see if we can't. I don't know how well this is going to come through, and it may just be one of those things that I think there's a little bit of color going on there. Maybe we'll brush it this way. Yeah, yeah. I can see the shine off of it is what it is. Yeah. Let's get some along the edge here. Just on the corners. Do our happy little corner. Get some on there. All right. There's that. Okay, now let's, before we go farther, so we have one that has the silver dry brushed and one that doesn't. And the question is, can you tell the difference? There's the handles. It's very subtle, I think. And up close I can tell for sure. The question is whether you guys can. I don't know. You guys ought to let me know in the comments if you guys can see the difference. After the paint dries on these other ones, I will come back and you can see after all the paint's dry what it looks like all put together. Maybe before I actually put the seats in, maybe I'll dry brush some of these with some silver. I'll probably do that like maybe off camera or something, so it can be a bit of a surprise on what it looks like. But yeah, so yeah. All right, I'll catch you when I get back after the seats are painted and I'm putting them all in place.
Almost there.
May the force be with you.